These right here are delicious, healthy vegan apple cinnamon fig Newtons made with no oil, no wheat, no refined sugar, and no rice. Now, I've made Newtons before, strawberry and regular, but today it's apple cinnamon, and I'm using fresh figs. And today, I'm going to show you how to make your own. Okay, so let's talk about the ingredients we're going to use to make these delicious homemade apple cinnamon fig Newtons. We're going to start with some almond flour, some oat flour. We're going to use some fresh apples. Now I have a green and a red here. You can use any type of apple you want. So if you have one that you prefer, use 2 of those. We're going to use some fresh figs, and this is why I'm doing this recipe again. I've already done a recipe for regular fig Newtons and for strawberry fig Newtons. And if you want to see those, you can check in the description below, and I'll have those linked if you want to go and see how to make those varieties. But I made those with dry figs. This time of year, you can get fresh figs, so I thought, why not make this recipe using fresh figs? And that's what I have here. I also have some cinnamon, I have some nutmeg, some vanilla, some cashew butter, and then I have some baking powder. Now, oftentimes with nut butter, people ask me, can they use a different nut butter? And you could. I wouldn't try tahini, might be a little too strong, but I'm using cashew butter, but you could use probably an almond butter and get a good result also. Okay, so these are ingredients we're going to use. Now, I want to address one more thing here. I am using baking powder. Now, there are some ingredients that I use in recipes that I don't typically eat, and baking powder is one of them. Because I've adjusted to eating really healthy food, I know that the textures can sometimes be slightly different from the foods that you're used to before you transition into healthier eating. So sometimes I'll use things like nutritional yeast, and I'll use things like baking powder and baking soda, because it gives a result that people who are new to transitioning into healthier eating, it tastes a little better, feels a little better, is more in line with what they're used to. So by all means, if you're someone who doesn't mind a cookie, in this case a fig Newton, where it's a little denser, not quite as light, then you could omit the baking powder and be fine. And if I were making these for myself, I wouldn't use baking powder or baking soda. But again, I'm trying to cater to people who are not used to eating healthier versions of things. So I try to make the taste and the textures a little more similar to what they're used to. So that's why I use an ingredient like this. All right, so these are the things we're going to use to make these delicious apple cinnamon homemade fig Newtons. Let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my apples peeled and cut into cubes and add it into my pot. And then after that, I'm going to start cutting my fresh figs into quarters and getting those in the pot as well. Now I'm going to be adding cinnamon, vanilla extract, and some water. Then I'm going to get everything simmering and cooking down until the mixture is nice and thick. All right, so at this point I've been cooking my mixture to the point where it's just about ready. So now I'm letting it cool. And while my filling is cooling, I'm going to put together my dough. So we're going to start that right now. Okay, so now I'm beginning by making my dough. And the first thing I'm going to do is combine my dry ingredients in a bowl. Then in a separate bowl, I'm going to combine my date paste, my nut butter, my vanilla extract, and I'm going to get those mixed up really well too. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to add the wet mixture to my dry ingredients and then mix them to form a dough. Okay, so now I've got my dough made. The next thing to do now is to take our filling and complete it. So if you look here, I cooked it down really well, and you can see it's nice and smooth. Now you could cook it even a little longer if you want to, but I like where it is. So I'm going to go with it at this consistency, nice and thick like a fig Newton filling would be. So the next thing is to get it into our food processor and process it a little more, get a little more smooth. That's what we're going to do next. If you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe below. Okay, so now I've blended my filling and I've got it nice and smooth, as you can see here. And at this point, when you get it nice and smooth like this, you're ready to put it in your dough, roll it up, and get them in the oven. All right, so now I've got my filling where I want it. I'm going to sit it aside for a moment, turn my attention to the dough once again. We're going to roll these out and get them in the right shape and size to add our filling, fold them over, and make our fig Newton cookies for the oven. Okay, so I'm going to roll my dough out into a nice rectangular shape, and I'm using parchment paper to keep it from sticking. Okay, so now I've got my dough rolled out, and all I was trying to do was get it into an approximate shape. What I'm going to do now is take and trim it up a little bit to get it perfect just where I wanted it. But the original idea is just to get it rolled out, the same thickness throughout, into like a, you know, an oblong piece like this. So now I'm going to trim it, and then it'll be time to add our filling.
So here I'm using a pizza cutter to create a nice even rectangle, but you could use a knife to do this. Now once I have my edges trimmed, I'm ready to start filling my dough. I'm going to do that by adding an even amount of filling down the center of my rectangular dough. Then using the parchment paper, I'm going to lift one side of my dough up and then the other so that they meet in the center of the filling. Lastly, it's time to cut them.
Okay, so now I've got my first roll of fig Newtons cut here and ready for the pan. I still have more dough left that I'm going to roll out and repeat the process, put more filling in it. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get these on my pan so they're ready to go into the oven.
Okay, and as I do this, I want to remind you that these have no refined sugar, no refined wheat, no oil, no preservatives, no artificial flavors. This is healthy vegan dessert eating.
All right, and here they are. They are ready, they are smelling good, they are looking good, and I can't wait to give them a taste. It's so easy, guys. Sometimes we think that things are difficult and can't be recreated and we have to give up on things from the past, but we don't. There are ways to make it healthy vegan, and that's exactly what I did here. Apple cinnamon fig Newtons, homemade. All right, if you're new to my channel and you're wondering how to find the recipes, look below the video and tap on the word more and you'll see the beginning of the recipe. Tap on the word more a second time and you'll see the full recipe, and then you can begin to make your own. Thanks for watching.